Hey, good morning, everybody. Today is February 28th. This is the ninth week of the year. No, it's not Monday. Life caught up to me yesterday, and I wasn't going to do my post because I had said to myself I was going to make a deadline of doing it every Monday. And I had got a little behind. I started critiquing myself and started beating myself up. But then I realized that we are our own worst critics, and sometimes we keep ourselves from moving forward when if we make a mistake or life catches us. Not that we were doing nothing wrong, but life happens, and when life happens, sometimes we get down on ourselves, we get downtrodden, and we aren't able to make those deadlines. But as long as we're living, we're able to keep moving forward. And with that being said, this month we've been focusing on love, relationships, and loneliness. And yes, this is February the 28th. This is the last day of Black History Month, and this is the last day of the Love Month. And I want you to understand something that everybody that has ever made an impact in your life or ever made an impact on history, the best decisions they ever made were the ones where they were alone. Or the best decisions they ever made was when times when they had hard times or life happened and they were impacted with the situation. So with that being said, I want to focus this morning on loneliness. And I want you to understand that you're never really alone. And getting into that, I want to look at Ruth and I want to look at the prodigal son. Now, I try not to make this a biblical post because I really don't want you to think I'm preaching to you. We got enough of that going on. I really don't want you to think I'm trying to belittle you or make myself look big. I'm just trying to encourage you and let you look at some things in a different aspect, in a different way, so that you can understand that life can be better for you, but it's up to you to make it better. It's up to you to have a concrete belief system. It's up to you to have a concrete understanding of who you are and being honest with yourself. So with that being said, I focus on the Bible a lot because that's my belief system and that's what I stand on. I want to look at Ruth and the prodigal son. Well, who was Ruth? Well, Ruth was Naomi's daughter-in-law. And at a point in Naomi's life, everybody around her was dying. But she was still a lady and she still had responsibilities and she still had people to take care of. And Naomi, even though she was married to her son, when her son died and Oprah's husband died, Naomi and Oprah was Naomi and Ruth was still left to care for Naomi. And Naomi, being the patriarch of the family, she decided to go back home. And when she decided to go back home, one of the daughter-in-laws decided that she was going to leave, but Ruth said she was going to stay. So they went back home. And when he went back home, they had to go to work. Well, being that Ruth was not part of the lineage, she was forced to go work in the field, or not forced, but she had to get a job, so she went to go work in this field. And when she went to go work in this field, she had to make a decision, and she had to go work by herself. So she was going to be working alone. None of her kinsmen, nobody that she knew. She was just going to be in the field with a bunch of other women working alone. And she chose to do it alone. Now we're talking about loneliness. Well, let's jump back over to the New Testament and let's look at the prodigal son. Well, the prodigal son was this dude, and we've all heard the story before. He came from a privileged family. He had everything. He had kinsmen. He had money. But he decided that he wanted to go spend his inheritance and wanted to become grown and go hang out with his friends and his boys. So he asked his daddy for all his money and he went out and he spent it. And of course, his friends were with him. He paid for the ride. He paid for the parties. They popped some bottles. They made it rain. But then all of a sudden, his resources went dry. So he found himself alone too. Except that on the other extreme, he had to get a job. He had to do something, but he was ashamed, but he was still alone. So he had to go ahead, and when he was alone, he found himself in the field too. But he wasn't in the field gleaning. He was in the field in the slop with the pigs trying to take care of himself. So here we got two people that made two decisions to do something, and they found themselves alone. Well, I want you to realize and understand that you're never alone. There are always going to be four people that are with you. The first three is going to be me, myself, and I, and the fourth is God. Understand that you are never alone. Why? Because you're always going to have me, myself, and I. I don't care what corner of the world you go to, what closet you try to hide in, what couch you try to sit on, how you try to hide yourself and become so introverted, or get to a pity party and belittle yourself, or just go to work and think you're going to work your problems away. At the end of the day, when you're there alone, when you're at work, when you're doing your passion, it's always going to be three people with you and a fourth. Me, myself, and I, and God. So with that being said, when you're by yourself, there are three characteristics that you really begin to build up and really begin to make you grow as a person and really begin to make you be who you are. One is integrity, responsibility, and honesty. Integrity you learn when you begin to understand that it's just you, me, and you begin to own your decisions. You begin to understand that I'm building integrity when I begin to look at me and see why I'm where I'm at. Me, the choices that got me here. My integrity was on the line. I made a mistake. That's why I'm where I'm at. Or I made a good decision. I had good integrity at the time when I made the decision. At the time when I based on my beliefs, I had integrity. Me is what builds my integrity. Responsibility. Well, responsibility is when I begin to understand that I begin to take myself and I begin to take responsibility for my actions. Every action I do has a consequence, whether it be a good action or a bad action, whether it's something that I think of doing consciously or subconsciously. When I accept responsibility, I accept responsibility for myself. So understanding that I'm never lonely, I'm with myself. And at that time of being lonely, whether it be a good loneliness or a bad loneliness, I accept responsibility for my actions, myself. Then honesty. I become honest when I realize that every lie that I tell, it just makes me a better or worse person. My father used to tell me something. He said that you can tell a liar is a good liar, because in order for you to be a good liar, you have to first believe the lie yourself. In order for me to be a good liar, and in order for me to sell you a lie, in order for me to sell you a Ponzi scheme, in order for me to sell you a bridge, or in order for me to sell you a pair of clothes that don't exist, I have to believe the lie myself. So when I'm alone, whatever I tell myself when I'm alone, or however I pump up my self-esteem, I believe it myself. So every lie that I tell, and if I want it to be a good lie, I have to believe it myself. Therefore, I have to realize that my honesty is really coming to character when I'm alone. Because when I'm alone, I'm only facing my decisions that I've made. I'm faced with the responsibility of my actions. And then I have to ask myself, am I really being honest with myself? Am I really being honest that I made the right decision? Am I really telling myself that that was a good decision? Or am I lying to myself and I'm believing the lie and I'm continuing to live in the lie and everything around me is crumbling? Why? Because I believe the lie. Understand this, that during this month of February, love on yourself. Relationships are about two people. And loneliness is a choice that you make. And in that choice that you make, you're building your integrity, you're working on your responsibility, and you're really living honestly. I hope we had a good time this month, and I look forward to being with you next month. I really don't know what the topic is, but today, think about that. You're never alone. Loneliness is a choice because there are always four people in the room with you. Me, myself, and I, and God, because the Bible says he'll never leave you nor forsake you. And sometimes you need to make a choice to be lonely so God can really talk to you and you can really decide how you want to live life. If you want to live a lie, or you want to take that lie and throw it out the window and build your integrity and become responsible for your actions and really be honest with yourself. Until next time, this is Roger Lewis saying this is February the 28th. This is the 9th week of the year, and we're steady moving forward with you being the driving force. I'll see you next week. God bless you and goodbye.